Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unconscious, where we're learning about how our past emotions drive our future decisions. I'm joined by a very special guest today, Molly Elkman from Group 2 Marketing and the author of The House That She Built. Molly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Molly, would you like to share with the audience a little bit about yourself and your past and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I joke and say that I was brainwashed to come into the industry. I am a second generation business owner, so I have been around home building my whole life, and I specifically have been around new home marketing my whole life, and that's how I really got into it.
What would you say, like, growing up was some of your favorite things about why you wanted to get into marketing, especially in the new home sales?
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, my dad would bring home logos that he was working on for communities or builders. And we had this game where he would say, which one is the best and which one did the client pick? Because they aren't necessarily the same. And he would have me explain why. And I thought this was, a fun game. I didn't realize that he was kind of nurturing my natural marketing abilities. So I've always really been able to look at creative in an analytical way and explain it in a way that, resonates.
Yeah. So on your group two side, how are you guys using all that experience that you've built up throughout your years to provide these, great experiences for builders?
Yeah. And we actually at Group 2 have a variety of people who similarly grew up in the industry where, parent or grandparent was a builder, or they themselves did new home sales or worked in house at a builder. So everything we do is about, that customer experience and making it a positive buying experience, starting from that very first touch point, which is really, brand awareness, them first hearing about you all the way through.
How do you guys in your process use the theory of like unconscious branding to understand, their buyers' emotions and how and exactly why they're coming to that brand to buy a home?
Yeah, so I have to tell you a story. When I was in college, before I even knew that I wanted to go into the family business, I went to the grocery store because, I was a college kid and I'm going to do my laundry, and I went to get laundry detergent. And am standing at the counter and there's like a million detergents, but they didn't have original Tide. And I left the store and went to another store. And as I'm driving to the other store, I am like, what is going on that I need to use that detergent, like that exact scent and that detergent? And I think that was like the first time I really understood how emotional buying decisions are. I wanted that scent of home, I wanted that nostalgia. And I think that as humans, we have that in our life. And I think for me, that started a lifelong curiosity with, the science of brands and human behavior and brand loyalty. Anyone can picture themselves in that grocery store and you have all these options in front of you. There's a reason you pick what you pick. And I think there's so much more psychology in purchasing decisions than people give credit.
Yeah. One thing, your Tide story reminds me of a great Coke and Pepsi, marketing, study. They stuck, a bunch of people in a room and said, "Hey, we're going to give you two options to drink. You pick which one you want." The non-blind test, you got to see the Coke and the Pepsi can. They both took a sip and they all said the Coke tasted better. But when they did the blind test, the Pepsi tasted better.
I
And the
don't believe.
reason is, yeah, that's the same thing. It's like, how do you do that? But and the reason is like all those people that pick Coke are likely they associate with the Coke brand with something
Right.
like a refreshing Coke on a hot summer day, hanging out with their friends. Growing up, all those positive experiences led to that moment where they're like, "Yeah, Coke's the one." Doesn't matter if it's even though Pepsi says it tastes better, it doesn't. But yeah, it's the same thing with the Tide. It's like, oh, go
I
ahead.
think we should do that. Let's do that. Next time we're together, we're going to do the Coke and Pepsi taste
Let's
test.
do it. Shore Summit 2024. We'll see you there. We'll put
Perfect.
together. We'll have a Livy Lounge work for our new product. So we'll put together a bunch of like Coke and
Yes.
Pepsi. come by the booth. Molly and I will be proving that Coke tastes better than Pepsi.
I love it. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. So on another like emotional like journey is something that you have a new initiative with the House That She Built Ambassador Program, where we're teaching kids, at a young age, that building homes is a fun thing, and it's a positive experience. So touch a little bit on that program and how you guys are really helping kids.
Yeah. So what's interesting is when I was in elementary school, I actually wanted to be an author. So when I was a little girl, I would picture my name on the front of a book. And it's part of why I didn't change my name. My Elkman is actually my maiden name. My married name is Gerson. So, but when I was little, I was so ambitious. And so when I got married, I was like, I need to see this through. So I am the author of The House That She Built. I actually have a new book coming out in November. It's called The Car That She Built with the automotive industry. So the whole idea is to show girls and children in general that really careers don't have a gender. You can have different pathways, and those pathways can look really different. You don't need to go to college to be successful, but you can go to college and be successful. Everyone's path is different. And, tying those paths into what young learners are already connecting with. So if a child is connecting with that they like art, kind of showing them that art goes into a lot of different potential careers other than being an artist.
Yeah. So when you're talking about, I think one thing that you said that I love is like this industry, no industry has a gender specific, like you gotta be a man, you gotta be female to go through this. And there is a lot of great female icons in the real estate industry. Like, how have you seen that, since you wrote The House That She Built, how have you seen like the, women support group really rally around this cry that, hey, we have the ability to do everything in this industry and more?
Yeah, I think, it's the same with the house being built, right? Like we know women can do every job, but there's never been a house that showed it and proved it, right? And that's why it made it so special. So the women who are in the industry who are doing the work, they of course, they know that women can do it, but they haven't had the opportunity to be in front of a massive group of kids or had a reason to necessarily tell their story to kindergartners and first graders who are really starting to form that identity with their self-confidence and skills that they're interested in. So the House That She Built was really always intended to be a tool for people in the industry to share their stories of what they do in a way that connects with young kids and shows them that there are a variety of paths that are all important and all needed.
Yeah. And you mentioned tools there, obviously the actual house that you guys built being a tool, but how about some of the curriculum that you guys are going to give to them? How is that being a tool for these kids?
Yeah. So it really, first it was the book, which obviously was inspired by the real house. That I would think the response to the book was just beyond my imagination, and people, wanted more. What else? And so we started creating activities. We have the Girl Scout patch. We have Boys and Girls Club activities, and people wanted more and more. And so that was why we turned it into a nonprofit. And that, is so that our partners can participate in a way that's tax deductible, but that we can also bring in people who are experts in those areas. So, for example, I wrote the Girl Scout patch program, the original one. I'm sure there is someone who is, trained to actually create those kinds of programs. So once we became a foundation, we've been able to bring in experts who can really build out the programming. So the patch got upgraded. We have new curriculum that's coming out. All of our activities have been formatted, so it's very easy to see how long it takes, what the supplies are, what the age group is. And now we have our ambassador program so that we can train people in the industry to run the programs and engage their local communities. So that literally just kicked off today. And it's really exciting because people have been asking since the book came out. And now finally it's like we have all of the tools to give them to run that programming.
I'm going to pull back just a tad and touch both on your marketing side and the house that she built side. We're a technology company here at Ariel. How are you guys using technology tools on both ends to be able to really connect with home buyers and home builders, and then also on the kids side?
Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint, technology is very much a part of our everyday. I mean, we are a creative agency, so we're producing creative. So there's tech components to that. We're creating websites, we're designing digital creative, writing copy, all of that. So on the book side, ideally, we will have a lot of tools to engage children. And it is really right now we're fundraising to be able to do that in a way that is most accessible. We want to get this story and the curriculum in front of as many children as possible. So we do have big dreams for what that looks like. Ideally, I would love to eventually have virtual field trips and ways for children to explore and learn, where they can do it from home, all the things. So right now it's on my wish list. So if any of your listeners want to participate, we accept all donations.
Absolutely. And I will definitely include the link to register and donate with this podcast, because we already have here at Ariel, and we are excited to be a part of this program. It's just a wonderful, I was at the ambassador kickoff call. So many people are into this. Like, it is going to be fantastic, and it's for a great cause. I mean, it's our next generation. I'm, going to be a first-time father here at the end of the year. I want my either little boy or little girl to grow up in a world that, has that community-like feel that wants people to grow. And I think that's exactly what the House That She Built Foundation is doing. Molly, this is, what you're doing for the industry is super fantastic. Before we get into our last segment, do you have anything that you want to tell anybody about both either the foundation or Group 2?
Well, I don't think I mentioned that I have a new book coming out in the fall. The automotive industry reached out and they love the concept of the house that she built. And they also have an underrepresentation of women. So the car that she built is coming out in November, and that is launching with the help of Napa Auto Parts. And it'll be... it'll go nicely with our book. So everyone look out for that. And I just appreciate you having me on. It's always great talking to you. And I love the work that you guys do. And I'm looking forward to our Coke and Pepsi challenge.
Me too. But before I let you go, I've got one last segment for you. It's just a rapid fire segment. Just think of the first thing that comes to mind. I got 3 questions for you. First one, favorite movie?
Dirty Dancing. Don't judge me. Keep going.
No judgment here. If you could learn any skill,
you're gonna have listeners who are like just going lines from the movie. My favorite one is I Carried a Watermelon. Okay, I know that wasn't the question. Keep going.
If you could learn any skill instantly, what would it be?
Play the guitar. I think that would be so cool.
I had a couple fraternity brothers who could just play the guitar, and I'm like, how do you do that?
I just think that would be like really nice to be able to pick up an instrument and just play. I don't play any instruments. I'm like missing that part of the brain. So I would definitely want something musical.
Last one. What's one unconscious habit you wish you could change?
Okay. I mean, it's an unconscious habit. So now I have to thoughtfully think of it. I think I have a lot of, listen, my husband's upstairs. He will have like 10 that he can be like, this, and this. I really don't know. That's a really hard one. Now you have to tell me yours.
Oh, mine would be biting my nails.
You bite your nails?
Yeah. It's just a nervous tick I get. My wife will be like, stop it. And I'm like, sorry.
I say a lot. Like, does that count?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just listened to a recording that I did, and I was telling a personal story. Now everyone's going to just hear the ums. They're not going to hear what I'm saying. But I realized listening back to it, I was like, "Ooh, I gotta work on that."
Well, I haven't heard an in this recording, so.
Well, we're going to go check now.
All right, Molly, this has been fantastic. It's always a pleasure talking to you. This is really great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thanks so much again for joining us. That's it for Unconscious for today. Have a great and wonderful week, and we will see you next week.